We are going to take you live to Keele and Lawrence now, where Toronto police are providing an update after an elderly man was struck by a vehicle. Let's listen in.
At a high rate of speed. The individual, who is a 92-year-old male, was in the crosswalk crossing to the west side of the plaza, pretty much where I'm standing at this moment, where that blue vehicle then struck that individual. The injured person went to the hospital via an emergency run due to the nature of the injuries, and they're there right now in life-threatening condition. So we're anticipating some updates from the medical staff right now, but the concern that we have at this point is the condition of that individual who was struck by the car. The driver of that vehicle has remained on scene and is cooperating with the investigation. As you can see behind me right now, we have officers from traffic services that are conducting reconstruction of the collision itself, and investigators here to determine exactly what occurred. Due to the nature of this incident, we're anticipating we're going to be here for several hours while we conduct the investigation and determine exactly what the cause was. In terms of charges or anything of that nature, it's still to be determined. It's far too early. But again, the focus right now that we have is the life-saving measures that are being performed at the hospital for the individuals struck by that vehicle. So if anybody was here in this plaza, we know that it's quite busy given the time of day. We're encouraging anybody with information to come forward and provide that information to the police. Any information or video that anybody might have is extremely critical for our investigation and will assist greatly with determining exactly what happened.
Officer, looking above too, there's one right there as far as plaza. Can you just describe how many people were in the area at the time of this being noted? I think you can just walk behind you now. It's a very well-known, very busy, established area where people are constantly walking in and out of the parking lot.
Certainly, so I can address both those. One, whether or not we have video surveillance at this time already. And yes, there is a business, many businesses here within this plaza, including the grocery store off to my side. We have already collected evidence that is assisting with the investigation. But furthermore, there is a lot of people that have been in this area. It is a very busy day. It's the middle of the day when this actually occurred, and we are certain that there's a number of people that have seen this. A number have come forward already and provided us with assistance, which is fantastic. And we thank the public for actually assisting with that. But if there's anybody that has not approached us yet, we're asking that they do come forward and make themselves known, either by telephone or approaching the officer that's at the scene to provide the statement to us.
Was there anyone else walking along the crosswalk at the time of the incident?
No, the injured party was by himself at the time when he was struck by the blue vehicle.
You said high rate of speed. Are you able to elaborate more? Is speed being investigated as a factor? Is that what we can say at this point?
Well, yeah, it's clearly one of the factors that's involved in this collision, as well as the mechanical state of the vehicle and the manner in which it was being driven. So there's a number of factors that are included here. When I stated a high rate of speed, certainly that was what the initial indication would suggest, that individual driver of the vehicle was at too fast of a speed given the conditions of the roadway and the fact that this individual was in the middle of the crosswalk crossing over the side of the street when this individual entered the parking lot of their vehicle.
The vehicle looks like it's like a tuned-up vehicle with the muffler, and there's a lot of aftermarket things going on in this vehicle. Do you know, has the driver had a history of speeding or actions or anything like that? Do we know yet?
I don't know the history of the driver. They are on scene, as I had indicated, that they are cooperating with the investigation. But in terms of that person's history, I don't know. I haven't gotten that far into the investigation. But in terms of the details of the vehicle, there will be a mechanical inspection of this vehicle. Traffic services officers are going to seize that car and conduct an examination on it to assist with the investigation.
Inspector, do you have a message to the members of this community? Because for all intents and purposes, the individual who you noted is doing everything right. You know, and this is such a busy area. Is it one of those situations where it's just an unfortunate event where accidents happen?
Yeah, and I stay away from the word of accident because this is something that is certainly avoidable. The individual, as you stated, was doing everything right. We have a very clearly marked crosswalk that the individual was entering to. And from their perception, coming into that crosswalk like anybody would, is that they're safe in doing so. There's an expectation that drivers can perform in a certain way, and we certainly hope that people take this into consideration, given what's happened here, and just take that extra second to slow down, look around you, and observe the people that are in marked crosswalks and do have the right of way. And I'm not at all suggesting that there's a fault to be played here. The investigation is very new, but in a general sense, we need to slow down collectively as a group to make sure that these collisions don't happen again in the future.
So we're in a private parking lot here. What is the nature of, if there are charges laid, Highway Traffic Act? Would it not be Highway Traffic Act? What about the speed limit here in a parking lot like this? Is there anything that can be measured against?
Yeah, so certainly you bring up a good point in that the Highway Traffic Act is only one that we can apply once the vehicle's actually on a roadway. Given that this is a private parking lot, there's different sets of rules that are coming into play. So we'll be looking at more of criminal type charges if that's in fact the way the investigation tends to lead us towards. But again, speed being a factor and all those causative factors certainly play into whether or not the grounds exist for criminal charges.
Was there only one individual, just the driver inside the vehicle, or were there others inside?
I don't know who else was in the vehicle at the time, but it was certainly the driver was remained on scene. In terms of other occupants, I'm not sure at this point. Thank you very much, everyone. Appreciate it. Have a great afternoon.
All right, police are providing an update after an elderly man was struck by a vehicle this morning. It happened near Keele and Lawrence at this very busy plaza. We are now learning that this happened at a busy plaza, as I noted. A 92-year-old man was in the middle of a crosswalk when he was struck, and then he was taken to hospital by an emergency run. That is where he is this hour with life-threatening injuries. The driver, we're learning, remained on scene and is cooperating with investigators. Speed, we should note, is being considered a factor in this collision. The reconstruction team is on scene. Investigators say they'll be on scene for the next couple of hours. In terms of charges, Toronto police say it's far too early to comment on that.